Her phone buzzed at midnight, and her heart nearly stopped. There it was, a notification from Chris D'Elia, her favorite comedian, the man she had watched night after night, laughing at his wild jokes and goofy impressions. She stared at the screen in disbelief. "Hey, you're cute," the message read, simple and surreal. She was just 17, still figuring out life, still wondering if she mattered in the world. And now, someone famous had seen her, had chosen her. She didn't question the attention. Why would she? He was a celebrity. If he messaged, it must be fine, right? Over the next few days, their chats grew longer. He was funny, charming, complimented her in ways no one ever had. She felt grown up, like she belonged in a world beyond her small-town bedroom. He asked for photos. Nothing too weird at first. Just casual selfies. Then it changed. He wanted more. Wanted her to lie about her age. Wanted to meet. That's when her smile faded. She started feeling sick every time her phone buzzed, confused, guilty, but also scared. What if she stopped replying? What if he got mad? And what if no one believed her if she told? Across the country, other girls were having similar conversations. Each one thinking she was the only one. Each one flattered, then uncomfortable. One girl, after receiving a similar message, decided to screenshot everything. She wasn't sure what to do, but she knew it wasn't right. She showed her best friend, who gasped and asked, "Isn't he like famous, freaking famous?" "Yes," she whispered. "And I think he's doing this with more girls." The screenshots started surfacing online. Twitter threads unraveled like wildfire. DMs, comments, patterns. A name once associated with comedy was now appearing next to words like grooming and predator. The internet was confused. Fans were shocked. And Chris D'Elia? He stayed silent. But the silence wouldn't last for long. His name was trending for all the wrong reasons. Chris D'Elia exposed. Underage girls speak out. Within hours, the digital world turned against him. A swarm of tweets, images, and threads painted a version of Chris that no one had seen on stage. The accusations weren't coming from tabloids or enemies. They were coming from girls, real fans who once admired him. One by one, they described similar experiences. Being teens, being noticed, then slowly being pushed into uncomfortable territory. Some messages were years old. Others were more recent. The tone was always playful, friendly, but with an undertone that felt to them like control, like power being used to blur boundaries. Chris finally responded. Through a short written statement, he denied any wrongdoing. "All my relationships have been both legal and consensual," he claimed. But the screenshots said something else. So did the patterns. So did the silence from his fellow comedians, from his agency, from platforms that had once promoted him. Within days, his Netflix specials were pulled from the front page. His talent agency dropped him. A project he was filming for was canceled without explanation. Yet some fans defended him. "It's just cancel culture," they said. "These girls are lying." But others, especially women, began to share stories of their own, not just about Chris, about how power is used online, about how fame can create shadows where truth becomes invisible. One girl, now in her 20s, wrote a blog post that went viral. "When I was 16, I thought being chosen by someone famous made me special," she wrote. "Now I realize it just made me vulnerable." And still, Chris's voice wasn't heard beyond the statement. No apology, no podcast episode, no Instagram live. The man who once filled theaters now sat in a silent spotlight, one he couldn't joke his way out of. The world waited for accountability, for answers. But sometimes the loudest part of a scandal is the part that stays quiet. Chris D'Elia finally broke his silence with a video. Sitting against a plain wall, his face tired, he addressed the camera. "I messed up," he began. "I was reckless. I was selfish. but I never knowingly pursued anyone underage. It was a strange balance between owning mistakes and deflecting blame. Some viewers saw honesty, others saw strategy. But what stood out most was no to what he said, it was how many people did not care to listen anymore. The damage was already done. Comedy clubs stopped booking him. His fan base shrank. Former colleagues distanced themselves. And the girls? They kept talking. Some spoke in interviews, some in group chats, some just cried in private, finally able to admit they'd been scared. One girl shared how it affected her trust in people forever. "I thought I was the problem," she said, "that I misunderstood something, but now I see he knew exactly what he was doing. He made me feel grown up so I'd stay quiet." Chris tried to return to comedy. He started a new podcast, smaller, quieter, less flashy. He talked about fatherhood, about sobriety, about rebuilding. But the spotlight he once craved didn't shine the same way anymore. Every laugh came with a shadow. Every appearance brought whispers. For many, he had crossed a line that jokes couldn't erase. Still, there were people who stood by him, who said he deserved a second chance. But for the girls, there was no reset button. They had lived with doubt, with shame, with screens full of messages they once thought were harmless. And now, they had to face a world that often forgives fame before it forgives truth. The story wasn't just about Chris anymore. It was about all the places where power is abused silently, where admiration is twisted, where the line between right and wrong is blurred with a wink and a compliment. May passed. The internet moved on. But the girls, they never forgot. Some found healing in speaking out, others in therapy, others in simply being believed. Chris D'Elia's name still floats in the digital world, but not like before. Now, it comes with context, with caution, with a warning. He continued performing, small venues, occasional posts. He talked about growth, about family, about redemption, but the air around him had changed. No longer the rising star of stand-up, he had become a symbol of what happens when power and silence collide. One girl, now in college, said something that stuck with many. "It's not about hating someone. It's all about showing the next girl that silence isn't her only choice." Chris's case never hit the court. No trial, no judge, no sentence. A courtroom built from tweets, posts, videos, and stories. In that courtroom, the jury was everyone. Some forgave, some forgot, but many held on. Chris D'Elia's story goes beyond just guilt or innocence. It was all about the impact, the mental scars that lingered, the girls doubting their worth, and the industry that just stood by. Millions of young fans learned that not every smile is genuine. This isn't just a tale of falling down. It's about waking up and finding the strength to speak out. What's the cost of silence in a world that only pays attention when it's too late?